I have scaled down this so that like an introduction to both the things together. And I'm going to use Consul internally to show how it can be used with Terraform, because Consul itself is quite simple, so creating a whole presentation on that itself won't be such a good idea. So I am going to show you how I used it in my job, and like how you can use it to do all the stuff. So it's a really good thing that previous speaker actually has showed a lot of things related to CI/CD, and I'm going to show how those things, like some demos, how actually they are done. So about me, I actually am an intern at Morgan Stanley right now. I was working in AppBase, which is a startup, for like more than a year. I was working on DevOps, so we have the whole, like everything, like from Grafana to all the things like ELT stack, Terraform, Nomad, everything, whatever the microservice world is using, we are using it. I primarily code in Golang, basically. And I am an enthusiast of distributed systems, so that is, you can find me on LinkedIn. So just I'm going to jump in directly to what Consul is and how it actually works. First of all, Consul has two things, like there is a client and a server. So what does that mean? Client is a small daemon which you would run on every server where you want to access the Consul's data. Simple as that. And there is a server which actually is responsible for coordinating the whole state, the whole global truth which is known in distributed system. Like it should always be true, and that is something which server actually manages. So consider you have a single server and you have 10 VMs which you are going to run your application on. So you will install 10 clients on, like one client on each server, and you will have an extra server running somewhere which will be connected. So all the clients will be connected to the server. So if you change anything from that client, it will go to the server and sync to every of the clients. So there is a cache as well which is being built because it is a high frequency application, because like Consul has to work at a really fast speed because it has load balancer and all that stuff, so it has to be fast. That's why it has a lot of internal caching. So this is the basic architecture. You can see that there are servers which are connected to each other. Clients do not gossip with each other, the servers actually do. And clients are the stuff which you run on your machines. That's the whole idea of Consul, and I will just explain. I will also do a demo on how actually you can use Consul and move on that. So basically, what are the Consul use cases? First of all, Consul is used for DNS service. So what does that mean? So basically, if you start a microservice, it can be used in monoliths as well. It can be used in big giant running applications as well. We had some monoliths, we had some microservices, so it's not an issue. You can use wherever. But to connect one service to another, you need to know the domain, and that is something which is managed by DNS server, and it is specifically known as MDNS because it's a micro DNS server and it's not going to be exposed to the outer one. It's just a local one, and it's going to be like a net over all your machines. So that's how the DNS server works. And on top of that, if usually it's the convention that if it's a DNS server, there is always going to be a load balancing stuff. So if you have more than 5 services with the same domain name on the Consul registry, then the Consul will actually do load balancing. And load balancing in Consul is really amazing. So it actually even is region aware. So if consider that you are going to build, if you have a multi-data center setup, so yeah, there is a multi-data center helper as well. So you can connect, if you connect to a service, it won't ever give you the
sorry to interrupt you, this is an open source solution?
Yeah, it's open source, it's written in Golang, everything.
So you remove them for me, that's what we are.
No man, you coming to my session, what is it? There.
Yeah, it's open source. Mostly everything, even like, everything is open source. Even the project I'm building is open source, so no issue. Yeah. So like DNS, the load balancer will actually provide you the nearest node according to the data center you have specified. Even and that is not like you have to specify what's the distance. Consul even does that for you. So it actually checks the ping time between the clients. And okay, so it is going to take that much long, then I will only provide you the nearest Consul client to you. So that much power it actually has. Then key value store. So key value store, like basically key and value you can store there in Consul, and there are really amazing use cases of these things, and it's in memory key store, so that is something you need to keep an eye out for. So it's nothing to be persistent.
For the load balancing, what kind of algorithm they are having?
So there is round robin
Okay.
on the base level, and there is this data center aware, which actually, if you have multiple data centers, it will keep track of which is the nearest one.
Okay.
And then if you are going to go there, if you have multiple hops,
DNS.
huh?
That's based on DNS.
Yeah.
Name is ping. You look at the ping time and then
Yeah. So when you are connecting different data centers, you have to specify the names, you have to provide the labels, and based on that, it will update its registry continuously. And you can even specify the time to update itself. That's and there is like a distributed locking is also there if you are building some sort of single state store and you want to have like processes going to actually connect to a single setup, and you want a variable or a configuration that has to be consistent. So then you can do locking using the internal semaphore which is there. Then you can use it for configuration management. And I won't say much about configuration management because I'm going to show you how we do it and like so how quickly we actually update our version. So like downtime is literally not more than 5 to 6 seconds, maybe even less sometimes. So how we used to do that. And then you are triggering events. So there are health checks internally. So if your service goes down, you can actually specify what kind of health check you want, what method you want to call after how many seconds you want to do that. That whole process is there. And if your service is down, then that entry will be removed from Consul. So the only live ones will always be there for you to use. These are all the use cases. Yeah. So first of all, simple like static service registration. So like just to give you the basic use case of what Consul actually can be used for. So you can see you are going to provide something like, okay, what is the name of the service, which port it is running on, and then you are just going to add it in to a JSON file, and that can be consumed by Consul to set up its information. This can be done using HTTP, and in most cases people do that using HTTP, but there are some companies who use Java and they don't prefer to do that. They just want to keep it static, and it's dangerous to change your Consul server. That's what people say on those community. So this is how like the basic service registration happens. Yeah. So like using Consul, yeah, that you all like people can do, but things that you should consider, like there have been like in the whole run of my time as a DevOps engineer, there has been like things which I learned because we had to keep uptime 100 like as near as possible to the highest node. So these are some of the things which you should need to like keep an eye out for. First would be that Consul is an in-memory store. So if you are going to like stop it for any reason, make sure that you have a backup, and then you like restore and then you run that. And the problem is Consul does not provide you that feature inbuilt. You have to write a tool or maybe use some open source projects to do. Then if one of the Consul server, like there are one thing, if the client fails, your VM won't be able to connect to the server in any way. That is something you need to take care of. If one of the server fails, then the client will be having the data, but it will be stale. So you need to keep an eye out for that as well. So that can be like, okay, so even though I know that the client is dead, but it will be serving requests, it will be going there, but the version might be old, and so you might be running some old code, and that is always unknown. And the restart. So like even if like after the failure happens, you should restart the server quickly. So for that, use something like systemd and all that in production, so that nothing wrong happens. Because like people, if say, okay, I'm going to run Docker containers, it's fine. I don't add anything. Use Docker container and run it in daemon mode, and that's fine. No, after that, there are scenarios which we need to take care of, like post deletion and pre-start and all that. So use systemd. It's a really amazing tool, and there have been very less people who are ranting about this. There are people who always rant about tools, but this tool is something which people don't rant much about. It's really amazing. So yeah, so like just touch upon all the points quickly enough. First, to backup and restore, you can just use Consul. It's a Python client for Consul, and you can just backup and restore using these two commands, and just add these as a pre-start and post-exit or something like that, and you can just get your Consul safe and get all the data back out from it. You can just have a cron job to store the backups somewhere and then restore it after, like, this is all commands like for restore. And yeah, the Consul server issue. So like what happens if one of the Consul server goes down? So for that case, you can always, like, we used to register all our Consul servers which are like public to a single domain name. So that is the layer where the Cloudflare comes into picture, and then it helps us. So if one of the Consul server actually goes down, no issue. One request will like fail. Next one will go to Cloudflare once again, get another Consul server running. So the client will never have like stale data or something like that, even though the server will be maybe far off somewhere else, but your service will not fail. So this can be, this is what we used to do, and it was working quite nicely. So we never had a failure in Consul server in the 12 months. Like, it was always running. So that's how. Yeah, so I will just show you a demo of how actually service discovery happens, and a simple function as a service demo, like similar to Amazon Lambda. A really small ones I just built for this presentation. Yeah, serverless. Yeah, but it will show you how actually the service discovery comes in and decouples the whole system for you. So I will just show that. Let's hope the demo. First thing I'm going to do is the Consul basically. So
Can you expand it?
yeah, like full screen or just
No, expand the font also, right? People can see.
yeah.
Control and plus should work.
Yeah. That won't work in the I don't know, maybe it won't work in. Yeah, here is zooming it.
It's that only, right? I think so. Control plus.
So it's visible now?
Yeah.
So this is the Consul server running. I am running it in dev mode. So what will happen? All the configuration won't be stored in the data, like in a directory. So it will be just in memory. Everything, even the service data, will be in memory, and don't use this in production, obviously. Or else, yeah, painful thing. Next, I will. So now our service discovery application started. Now what we need is an actual service which runs, and so it is a really simple hello world service. So how it actually works. So yeah, this is not a fully developed application right now, and it actually has just all the tests and packages ready. The whole interface is not. So what is happening right now? Actual container is being built from a code which you sent in, and so it's just rendering, building the container, and it will soon enough run it directly on the Docker system. So it started, and now it's actually running. So you can see. Yeah. So. As you can see, now it's running. So there is some amount of code which I sent in to the framework, and it built out a container, and so an actual RPC service is running right now, which is like my name and the name of the function, and there is really simple. And you can see now that here this service is actually registered to Consul. So all those things are actually written on the framework, and I can show you that. But yeah, like after the demo, you can ask me. Actually, everything goes around. So I am also going to tell you what internal packages I've used. So now you can see that the service is running good enough. So what will happen after this?